It's not just about Cassie anymore. Oh no. What started as a bombshell case about a music mogul's alleged abuse just snowballed into a full-blown Hollywood apocalypse. And honey, when I say the courtroom is shaking, I mean teeth chattering, whole building vibrating, shaking. It all began with Cassie's chilling testimony. The abuse, the freak-offs, the control. The room was already tense. But baby, buckle up, because that was just Act 1. Then came the whispers, followed by leaks. Not just Twitter drama, not just messy Reddit threads. We're talking federal courtroom whispers, leaked summaries, secret audio playbacks that no one expected. And the moment those tapes dropped, boom, half of Hollywood went down in flames. Insiders say the prosecution had been laser focused on Cassie's timeline until everything shifted. Now, they've brought in tapes, not just any tapes, tapes that allegedly feature Diddy, Will Smith, and Meek Mill. Yes, you read that right. Will Smith, Meek Mill, and Diddy allegedly leading the show. Now, let's rewind for a second. A few days back, the court quietly rolled out hotel surveillance footage. No audio, just video, you know, the kind that makes you squint and guess. People assumed that was it. But then courtroom leaks started flying. Behind closed doors, phones confiscated, no recordings allowed, silent terror crept through the courtroom as audio was reportedly played. Sources said it was graphic, explicit, male, and so raw the whole room just stopped breathing. No coughs, no whispers, not even a chair creak. One insider said it best: you don't get that kind of silence unless what you're hearing is life-altering. And just when the temperature dropped below freezing in that courtroom, more bombshells exploded. New witnesses were announced. Not clout chasers, not anonymous tipsters, but real people. Former bad boy artists, ex-staff. People who lived in Diddy's orbit for years. Some toured with him. Others partied in his mansions. These were insiders silent for too long. But not anymore. Enter Dawn Richard, formerly of Diddy Kane. She gave her testimony, then walked out of court visibly shattered. Paparazzi caught her. No makeup, no security smile, just pain. Sources said her testimony backcashes claims word for word. She said Diddy did horrible things. In open court, not gossip babe, court records. And then came the moment that melted everyone's hearts into puddles of dread. Diddy's daughter walked out of the courtroom after the tapes played. She didn't cry, she didn't talk, she didn't even look up. Blank, pale. Silent, the kind of silence that screams louder than words. Paparazzi didn't even bother yelling questions. They knew. Insiders now say her reaction happened the second the audio ended. So whatever played in there, it wasn't just disgusting, it was personal, it was real. Now let's talk about the ripple effect. This is no longer about lawsuits or settlements. We're talking about careers, legacies, entire dynasties falling apart like a cheap wig in a thunderstorm. Because guess whose name is tangled up right in the middle of the mess? Will Smith. When the courtroom tapes reportedly featured his voice alongside Diddy's, the internet went insane. People started pulling receipts faster than a TMZ editor on espresso. Old clips, eye rolls interviews, wild podcast moments. And then the clip that made everyone's jaw drop all over again, comedian Lunel casually dropping the line that Diddy and Will were clapping each other's cheeks. Oh yes, she said it like she was ordering Starbucks. Most people ignored it back then, but now the whole internet is playing detective. They're rewatching Will's interactions with Jaden, the weirdly playful energy, the lingering kisses, the overly sweet hugs. What once looked like quirky dad behavior now is being called red flags. Then came brother Bilal, Will Smith's former assistant. And baby, when I tell you he lit the internet on fire, he said he personally saw Will get playful with another man's junk, that Will got bent over a couch by Dwayne Martin like a yoga instructor. Yes, you heard that right. That quote has been reposted more times than the Keep My Wife's Name slap clip. And baby, when those allegations dropped, the internet turned into the freaking FBI. Fans started pulling everything. Red carpet photos of Diddy and Will smiling like lovers, candid moments at private events, champagne toasts, backstage hugs. And when Will tried to do damage control, it backfired. His denial, I ain't nowhere near that man. I did none of that stupid. If somebody say that, it's a damn lie. Whew, wrong move, Fresh Prince. The second he said that, Twitter and Reddit exploded with literal photo albums of him with Diddy. Nowhere near him, sis, y'all were toasting champagne in silk suits. You thought Will's denial was messy? Wait till you hear what Meek Mill did. The moment his name was mentioned in those tapes, things went nuclear. Instead of a calm statement or silence like Will, Meek lost it on social media. Tweet after tweet, meltdown after meltdown, saying I'm not fruity, stop playing with me. But baby, the more he ranted, did, the worse it got. Fans dug up all the old Meek and Diddy memes. They used to call him Diddy's intern, pocket puppet, and things I won't even type here. What used to be jokes are now looking like confessions, and the clips, oh lord, the clips. One viral video shows Meek bouncing around like a school kid at billionaire Michael Rubin's party, laughing but not really, like someone who knew the camera was rolling and hated it. Then another clip, Diddy throwing Meek a shirtless pool party. Happy birthday, daddy. Diddy says on camera, proud of you. I love you. I appreciate life, daddy. Daddy. I kid you not, that clip, it became an overnight meme. Every time Meek posted something tough, fans just threw daddy right back at him. Meek tried to fight it, but the internet does not care. Now, here's where it gets real eerie. Despite all this chaos, all this noise, all these explosions of celebrity reputations, the audio, the actual tapes, they haven't been released, not a second of them. Not even a whisper. And honey, that silence is louder than anything else in this circus. Insiders keep describing the same thing, a man being pounded while Diddy's laughter echoes in the background. That's the kind of nightmare people are alleging is on these tapes. One viral claim even suggested that someone had a secret recording of Diddy and Meek Mill being intimate. Now, is it real? Is it fake? Nobody knows. But the fact that the public hasn't seen or heard anything, despite courtroom summaries being passed around like hot tea, that's raising serious questions. Because in the US, especially during a criminal trial this high profile, evidence doesn't just vanish. It doesn't just go classified, not unless something much bigger is at stake. Journalists are now poking the beast. If this evidence is so important, they're asking, why hasn't it been made public? Transparency, they argue, is key, especially if this case is as explosive as insiders say it is. If this evidence could convict someone, the public has the right to know. But others say it's about protecting identities, preserving what little dignity might be left for those on the tapes, or even shielding the court from a media firestorm unlike anything we've ever seen. But here's the thing. The silence is making people wonder if we're dealing with something way bigger than even Diddy. What if this is about protecting more than just reputations? What if this is about protecting entire empires? Because let's be honest, if Diddy, Will, and Meek are just the names we know about, who else is on those tapes? And now the conversation shifted even further. People are no longer asking just what Diddy did. They're asking, how did he get away with it for so long? The truth? Because Diddy wasn't just a rapper. He wasn't just a businessman. He was a cultural gatekeeper, a kingmaker, a man who held the keys to careers, contracts, and connections. He was the bad boy of the 2000s, the vote or die guy, the one on every red carpet rubbing shoulders with billionaires, politicians, global icons. He wasn't just rich, he was connected. And now those very connections are unraveling. Suddenly, every interview from the past 20 years is being reanalyzed. Every artist that left Bad Boy Records and went silent, fans are asking why. And Ma Dallas to Day 26 to Danity Kane to Aubrey O'Day, who's been screaming about Diddy's darkness for years, they were all ignored, brushed off as bitter or washed. Now, their stories are being pulled up as evidence because the courtroom isn't brushing them off anymore. On Richard's testimony, it corroborated Cassie's claims in chilling detail. She didn't mince words. She didn't hold back. And that, in court, that's lethal. What we're watching right now isn't just a scandal. It's a collapse. Diddy's career, his entire legacy is crumbling in real time. What was once untouchable, what was once mogul magic is now nothing but smoke and mirrors. And people are realizing the red flags were always there. The need for control, the strange energy in old interviews, the pause jokes that always followed Diddy's awkward laughter like he was trying to hide something, the artists who disappeared, the broken careers, the ones who said they'd never work with him again but wouldn't say why. Now we know why, and baby, it's ugly. Now let's circle back to Will Smith. He was already walking on thin ice after that Oscar slap. People gave him grace, said he was defending his wife, but now that grace is gone. Because if he's actually on those tapes, if he's really involved in what insiders claim, we're not talking about a PR mess. We're talking career annihilation. Hollywood already turned on him once. He wouldn't hesitate to do it again. His image, his brand, his legacy as Mr. Clean Prince, over. This is the type of scandal that doesn't get managed. It gets erased. As for Meek, the internet already cooked him. Legally, he hasn't been charged with anything. But perception, he's done. His non-stop tweeting, the frantic denials, the stop playing with me energy, it's not helping because when you act that defensive that fast, people People assume you're hiding something, and in today's age, perception is everything. Meek might be legally clean, but online, he's already convicted. And yet, through all of this chaos, the government has said nothing. No explanation about the sealed audio, no statement on whether they'll release it, no answers to journalists, no clarification, just silence. Which only adds gasoline to the fire. Because people aren't dumb. They know how this works. When the silence is this deep, this calculated, it means there's something massive hiding behind the curtain. Maybe the people on those tapes are too famous. Maybe they're tied to billion-dollar deals. Maybe they're connected to names we haven't even heard yet. Maybe this goes higher than anyone imagined. Maybe it's not just about Diddy. Maybe it's about the entire structure of Hollywood secrecy. And here's the final kicker, darling. This isn't going away. Even if the government locks those tapes away in a vault, even if Diddy's team manages a miracle, even if PR wizards scrub every headline, the internet doesn't forgive. It remembers every clip, every whisper, every meltdown tweet, every daddy video, every side guy moment from 10 years ago that suddenly makes sense now. And when people feel like the truth is being hidden, they dig. They will find it. And when not if those tapes leak, when the world finally hears what insiders are already whispering about, it will be Judgment Day for a lot more than just Diddy. We're talking reputations, record labels, film studios, streaming contracts, everything. Because if this trial is pulling back the curtain, then what's hiding behind it might be darker than anyone ever imagined.